Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kritz and I like to read dark and disturbing things. And usually I am in front of the camera talking about the books that I've read, but today I am hiding behind the camera to show you my reading journal. So I am not usually a journal channel in case you happen to stumble across this video, but I do talk about books a lot and I like to set up my reading journal every year and show it off a little bit and just kind of encourage people who maybe are new to reading journals to start one themselves, even if they don't have perfect writing or they're like me and they don't have any artistic skills. So that is what this video is going to be today. This is my brand new 2025 journal. This is an Archer and Olive journal that I got from their Halloween box and I am obsessed with it. I love bats. So we have bats here and a blood moon here and some trees, and I like that the spine has something on it. I will from time to time be pulling over my current journal, which is the 2024 journal, just to kind of compare some of the spreads on how I've changed them or ones that I've kept the same, that kind of thing. So let's, without further ado, just get into it. So I like to decorate this first page, and I don't know if you're going to be able to tell on camera, but this was like a transparent page. I'm going to put a piece of white paper behind it because when I picked it out, I thought, oh, that's really cool. And then I didn't realize when I put it in kind of how it was going to look once I actually had some stuff behind it. So we're living and learning here. So the inside of this already had this very cool foiled bat, and I had this sticker from an Etsy shop, which I'm going to try to link them down below if I can find all of the shops that I used and that kind of thing. And then I just put this in place with some washi. And I made a mistake right away on the very first page because I had a sticker here and it was like a transfer, and it was a Stay Spooky sticker, and it wasn't turning out, and I had to rip it off, and it took off some of the paper. So I like to point out the mistakes that I've made because I think it's important to know that you're going to make mistakes when you're making a journal. You just got to roll with it. There are times where I've actually glued the pages together because I couldn't fix whatever mistake it was. So there's nothing that you can do that you can't fully undo or cover up. So I just like to show that because this is not going to be a perfect journal by any means. Now the first page I have here is my book clubs page, and I want to show you my previous journal because this is what it was looking like before, where I had the month and then I was going to write down below and then highlight different book clubs to go with the books. As you can see, I kind of ran out of room. I was really into book clubs and trying to hit all the book clubs for a while, and then I kind of got more into mood reading again. So I did want to make this one a little bit different where I had more room to write, and I had somebody suggest that, you know, you don't really need this calendar. I could have just had like a J, F, M, like just writing the initial, and then I would have had way more room to write and I kept it vertical. We're going to see how this works out. So I think because I am trying to mood read a little bit more, there won't be as many book clubs to report, or probably what I'm likely to do is write them down, and if I own the book, I will probably try to get to them. I could also write over here if there's any anticipated books coming out that month, or I have been wanting to get to some of my arcs a little bit more. And I noticed that some of them have expiration dates. And when I was using my Kindle, it didn't matter. I don't know if they changed something or if it's a Kobo thing. But in my Kobo, when it expires, it like won't let me access it anymore. And I didn't have that problem with my Kindle. So I'm not sure if they changed something or if it's just because I always had my Kindle internet turned off to save battery. But I could put them in here so I can make sure I get to those before they disappear. The next page is my 12 goals in 12 months. Now, this is a change from the, I started off doing 24 and 24, like books I wanted to read. Last year, I'm like, okay, you're not making your 24 and 24. Let's do 12 and 12. And then these are ones that were like from a previous year that I didn't get to. I still failed. It's like once it's on this page, I just don't want to read it for some reason. So I thought I would change things up and do something a little bit different. And I really want to read down my physical TBR a bit more. So I have a lot of Greek retellings that I want to get to. So in order to get this goal, I have to read 3 of my Greek retellings. One of my favorite authors in 2023 was Philip Fracassi. And then I totally neglected to read any books by him this year. So I want to make it a priority to read another Philip Fracassi book. I want to read 3 books in a series. Any series. Just start reading your series, Christine. Read 3 of my book of the month or aardvark books that I have on my shelf already. Read 3 books from NetGalley. Here's another situation where I fell in love with Tananarive Due. One of my favorite books was from January of this year, so I want to read more of her backlist. Read 3 library loans. Read 3 indie books. I also want to make a priority to read more Clive Barker. Read 3 books from my Nightworm subscription. Read 3 fantasy books and DNF 3 books. So basically what I've taken is some of my goals for the year and try to incorporate that and try to make a game out of it, make it a little bit more fun. And a lot of what having a journal is to me is seeing what works, keeping what works, and tweaking what didn't. So we'll see if this ends up working out. Oh, I have to point him out because this is a stamp and I was obsessed with this stamp. This little raven with his top hat reading a book is just so cute. All right, here are my bookshelves. Before we get into this, let me show you, let me find it first, and then show you how my bookshelves looked last year. So I had these stickers, 2 of them, and instead of drawing everything out, I did that. I was trying my own, like, read what you own challenge, where if I read certain ones, I got to put it in here and mark it off. And I tried to make a game out of it by saying for every 10 books that I read that I owned, I could purchase a new book. Didn't really work. I still really enjoyed tracking, reading the books that I read. So I did want to keep that part of it. But what I did, this took me a long time, is let's not judge, okay? These are pretty much all the physical TBR books that I own that I have not read yet. I know it's a lot. And I know I'm missing some, but these are most of them. So what I did was I drew these shelves, and I'll tell you right now that I made these way too small. Like, these are ideal size. Some of these are so small I had to write so teeny tiny, but I had to fit a lot in there because this opens and there's even more here. So yeah, we're not judging. I tried to do a stained glass window. I'm not sure I'm crazy about the colors, but it's okay. And then I tried to make it where these are like my Nightworms and what was it called? Abominable Book Club book backlog books I had. So this is actually a combination of 2 spreads from my own old journal, because I also had a page that was backlog books from book club boxes. So I incorporated all of this into here, and what I'm going to do is as I read them, I will color them in. So these are mostly my horror books. These are mostly my horror subscription books. These inside are fantasy mostly. So I think these were fantasy from book club subscriptions, and then these were just fantasy books that I own or non-horror. These are all of my book of the month and aardvark books that I haven't read. And then these are more horror books that I've just purchased. So I will be coloring them in. I have a couple that are not filled in that I'm sure I missed some, so that's fine. And we'll see at the end. Hopefully it will be very satisfying because hopefully a lot of these will be colored in. And then if I end up liking this spread, what I'll do is anything that I did not read will get carried over to the next journal. This is a brand new spread because I'm part of a book club now, my own book club. Well, it's not my own. I co-host a book club with Cliff from Cliff's Dark Gems. It is called the Fright Club. And I decided to give it its own page in here. And for every month, I will print out the book cover that we read. And then I'll probably write what the subgenre was. So it's polar horror for January. And I can actually already print this out and stick it in here. And I might also write our co-host if we have one, like who joined us. So I'll just be sticking in these covers, and hopefully at the end I can see, all of our books and how I like them. Book quotes. This was a new to me spread in my last journal, and it worked out okay. I would say that I did fill some in. I am probably going to go back and fill some more in. I always forgot at the time to write things down. But now that I've been using my Kobo a lot more, and you can highlight right in it, it'll be easier to go back and see. And then I had these stickers that I wanted to make it look like an old mansion, kind of, where it has, all of the pictures just thrown together in a collage. And as you could tell, I have amazing art skills by drawing these very childlike looking, they started off as just boxes, and then I thought it looked too plain, so I went and I tried to give them some like filigree and stuff like that. So I will be writing the quotes in there. And a series tracker was also new to me last year in my journal. And this is what it looked like last year. So you could see I mostly kept it the same. There's some that I DNF'd and I took out. I finished this one, so I took that out. So I have carried them over into this spread, and I don't know, I'm happy with it. I definitely need to work a little bit more on some of these. And it's the same story. Like some of them I literally have just one more to read. One more Mina and the Undead. Some of them I need to see if I even want to continue it. Oh, this was another thing that was new in my spread last year. Last year it was a goal to DNF more books, and I was successful in that. Let me pull it up here. So if you didn't know, previously I never DNF'd a book because I felt like I was going to miss out on something, or I had already stuck it out that long. Why not finish it? Well, here is I DNF'd 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books, which for me was a lot. But I want to become a little more ruthless in my DNFs because life is short and too short to be reading books that, even if I know they're just going to be 3 stars, I'm not going to get anything out of it. So what I'm going to do is write the title of any DNF book into my little tombstones right there. This was a page I wasn't sure I was going to even continue. However, I ended up with an extra page. It's a long story. Some pages got glued together. Some pages I was trying to use stamps, and some of them just came out so poorly that I had to scrap it. Anyway, I ended up with this page and I didn't know what else to do with it. And I thought, okay, we're doing genres. And I saw this set up in somebody else's video, and I'm sorry, I don't remember who to put it in the credit, but a lot of these, aren't all my original ideas. But what I'll do is, as I read a book that fits a certain genre, I will fill it in the little square. And then I have some goals for this year, which I haven't even really talked about yet, but I want to read more of my arcs, read what I own, read more from the library, DNF more, and use my e-reader more. So I will just be coloring those in. I may put a key down here where, if it's a 4-star, it's a certain color, a 3-star, a different color, that kind of thing. So this has been in my spread the last few times, and this is pretty much identical to what I did last year. Here's my last year. The only difference is that I was writing them in, and then at the bottom telling myself where I got the book from and then what the color represented. And so it was a different kind of color every time. Thought I would work a little smarter this time, and I just put the key here, and I have a few more spots of where I could get it. So if I got it from Aardvark, Barnes & Noble, Book of the Month, Book Outlet, that kind of thing. And I will color them in. Hopefully this section will not be too full because I will be reading what I own. But that does not mean I am stopping myself from purchasing books, because that just doesn't work. So I did all of the months. Towards the end, I did start to decorate them, which I probably will do in the future, just like as I go along. And then I just have this little sticker that I wanted to have in there. This is basically identical to what I did last year. Very simple. I thought about doing something a little more complicated, but I couldn't find the video that I had seen it in last year. So we just stuck with the same thing. Or basically every month I will write my favorite book of the month, and we will come out with a winner in the end. This is something totally new for my journal. So I've seen in other people's videos that they do a page dedicated to 4-star reads and 5-star reads. And I thought that was a good idea. So I have kind of made places here for me to print my book covers. And you can see I have some bleed through here from coloring on the next page. But I think that's okay because this will be covered up anyway. And one of my concerns was that I would not have enough room. But I realize if I have more than this, I can like take another page and just tape it in and have it like a flap. And these are stamps that I colored in. This was a stamp I colored in. I really like how this one turned out. There was another one that was similar to this that was taller that I really struggled with, and I couldn't get it to work, and that's why I had to glue some pages together. This was from some cardstock I found. And then these are stamps, but instead of using ink, I used like my markers or Tombos to color them and stamp and color, and it worked out pretty well. My reading log is going to pretty much be the same. I did improve it a little bit, I think, because this is what it looked like last year, and I actually had printed these pages from, I think, Passion Planners, so it's like a free download that you can print out instead of making all the lines yourself. They were pretty squished together, though, and I realized that Dutch doors would have been better in this situation, so that's what I'm trying this year. So I have this, and then these just turn. And I will point out that I accidentally jumped from 45 to 50 and then had to go white these out and fix them. So it is okay to make mistakes. So what I will be putting is the book I read, the title here, author, and then how many stars. And then I just put in a few bonus spreads here because what I did last year, I don't think I did this in my initial setup, but as I went along, once I realized that there was a lot of books in a certain like subgenre of horror, I started writing them in here, and then so I could have like a going list of winter horror or winter thriller, and then I did a video on it. And then since then I've actually read some more, so I could possibly make another video next year if I read enough. So I decided to do that with water horror. First of all, because I had this amazing sticker that I wanted to use. And I did last summer read quite a few water horror books. So I will be adding in the ones that I read, as well as ones that I hopefully read this year. And then could probably do a video on that. And another like subgenre that I did a video on last year was witchy books. So I will be adding in the witchy books I've read and then seeing which other new ones I can get to. And then I did leave a few spaces for a couple more spreads like that, where hopefully I could think of a subgenre. I just think it's really fun to have them all in one place, because if someone asks for a recommendation, I can't think off the top of my head what I read, but I can go back and look. And then I will just show you the last bit, which is my very first spread for January. I always do a calendar, and I pretty much use this as like a content planner where I can plan out certain videos I want to post. And then I like to write in my book club books here, the books I want to get to that month. And then I could put some video ideas, maybe that I have as I'm going along. And I just basically, I love wintry themes. So I had like these owls and dogs and stuff like that I really wanted to use. And then I always do a wrap up page where as I go, every time I finish a book, I write it in here. And then I also kind of like put a little mark or a star next to it if it's a book that I owned. And this is the page that I generally use when I'm doing a video to kind of wrap up for the month what I read. And I suppose that I could be using this page, but I don't. I always just use this. And it's fun to decorate every month a different theme, as you could tell. Like this look has nothing to do with this look. So I don't go for a cohesive theme really in my journal because I think it's fun to experiment with different styles. And I have lots of sticker kits that I'd like to use. So that is all I have for now. I usually do like a 6-month flip through, and then at the end of the year, I'll show you once it's all filled in, just how it went. I think it's just fun, a fun way to look back at what you've read and kind of just have like an artistic outlet, even though, as you could tell, I'm not very good at drawing or anything like that. But it is fun to like color in and stamp and just feel like I'm kind of artistic, I guess. It's very calming, and I just find it I find it mentally soothing to do, and I just love to look back at it. And it just makes me feel like I'm getting more out of what I read by having like this kind of place to look back and see what I've done. So this is actually my 4th year doing a reading journal, and I don't plan on stopping anytime soon because it just brings me joy. Thank you guys so much for watching, and hopefully there's something in here that kind of inspires you to make your own journal, or maybe inspires a spread of yours. And if so, feel free to tag me so I could take a look if you do a video of your journal, because I like to be nosy and see what other people do. And it always gives me ideas for, you know, spreads in the future. If you happen to stumble upon my video because you are into planning content, but you also like books, then please consider subscribing to my channel, because while I don't talk about planners a whole bunch, I do talk about books that I've read, and as you could tell, I really like spooky things. So if you're into dark, spooky books, horror books, darker fantasy, then you might like what I have been reading. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope everyone has a great year in 2025. Stay spooky.